Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector, and as always, I want to thank you for tuning in. A big thank you to all of our clients, to all of our supporters, and let's get this show on the road, baby. We got UFC 180 Mexico City, el Distrito Federal de Mexico. So I am very excited for this fight card, not only because it's their first fight in Mexico City, in the country of Mexico, but because we have a ton of really interesting matchups. And in my eyes, it's my belief, after doing the homework here, that there are a ton of live dogs, and I'm just waiting like a little kid before Christmas night, Christmas Eve, waiting for Santa Claus to show up with all the presents. So I have a ton of stuff to talk about. So before I get started, we always want to make sure we get a couple of things out of the way. First thing is much respect to all the men and women that step into the octagon. The goal is to pick a winner and not necessarily to be so fighter friendly and this is my favorite fighter because of this or because of that and blah 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 blah. And then the second thing is you always want to make sure you bet what you can afford to lose. You never want to bet in hopes of I'm gonna make this and turn it into that. You always want to budget yourself. And then the third thing is you always want to check your local laws, so make sure that where you're betting is legal and all that good stuff. And let's get this show on the road, baby. Woo-wee. So let's see. Let's go ahead and go to the first fight of the night. We got Marco Antonio El Psycho Beltran against Marlon Chito Vera. So we got a Mexican fighter versus a Latin American fighter here. And this fight is interesting because we have a guy in Marlon, in Chito, who we know what we're going to expect of him, and that's a mid-level. Right now he's mid-level overall UFC MMA game. And in El Psycho we have a guy who isn't really quite there yet. He might be, he has been training with a good camp and he might have improved his game, but it's not gonna. He hasn't had enough time to improve his game up to Marlon's level, and that's not to say Marlon hasn't even risen his game to a higher level. I see Marlon beating him everywhere, other than the fluky knockout or the fluky thing that Marco might land or might get, or submission or something. I don't see how Vera loses this fight, so I'm gonna go with Vera by decision. Now Vera here, he sitting at minus 250, some spots even minus 290, minus 240, and that's a lot of dough to put into a guy who hasn't even won a UFC fight yet. So I'm gonna say do not bet, but I do have Marlon Vera winning by a decision. Tempting to bet Vera here because he has all the skills to win the fight, but ultimately do not bet because there's going to be better opportunities for us. So pass, but Vera for the pick. Now the next fight is a very intriguing fight to me. We have Henry Burre Briñones against El Guido Ninja Canetti. El Ninja Guido Canetti. So the Ninja versus El Burro. And and for this one, Canetti, it's a very interesting little story here. So Canetti, he is a bit full of himself, and he thought, hey, I'm coming into the Ultimate Fighter house. This is my tournament to win, and blah, 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 blah. He has the speed, he's got the power, he's got the flashy striking. He's a smart guy. So he's got a lot of the good things going for him, but he's just a bit too cocky, and he had to learn his lesson the hard way going up against these Mexican fighters who are ready to fight. El Guido is going to be, he already is the least the least liked fighter, kind of like how Koscheck was in one of the seasons. Just a fighter that people don't like and not going to be rooted for. An Argentinian guy fighting in Mexico. Well, but with Briones, I see a guy who we're not. What we've seen from him is what we're gonna get, and he's just an average guy. He doesn't really have anything flashy. He doesn't have any speed. Doesn't have anything that I'm impressed by at all. And to me, even he looks a bit slow. He just looks a bit sluggish, and so I can't back a guy like that. So I like El Guido Canetti to be able to outpower him, outmuscle him, outspeed him, outstrike him, outkick him, outsmart him. I really like Canetti here, so El Guido Canetti for the win. He's going to be my betting pick, and we'll get into the bet in a little while. I think he'll win a decision. I could see him getting maybe a TKO stoppage, but I would put my money on a decision. So El Guido Canetti, and right now he's sitting at plus 110, plus 105, even money. So he's a nice little dollar for dollar basically there. And for the next fight, we have Humberto Brown against Gabriel Mowgli Benitez. Now this is interesting because the fight, then the night could start off, 2-0 Latin America versus 0-2 Mexico, and I think Gabriel Mowgli Benitez here is in a great opportunity to, if it does go that way indeed, to be the first Mexican fighter of the night to win a fight, and with Mowgli, he's just a much more polished, much more well-rounded fighter. With Humberto, he's got that wrestling background, and that's about all he has. He's no spring chicken, He's not at that stage of his career where he could take off and learn a bunch of things. So I'm not really interested in Humberto Brown. With Mowgli, like I said, he's more polished, more well-rounded. He could possibly submit Brown. Brown's jiu-jitsu is not that good, or possibly even knock him out. Brown gets hit in the face a lot, and Mowgli, he's got some power, so some sneaky power. So I like Gabriel Benitez here to win, possibly a stoppage, but definitely by decision. Now for that line, right now it's currently sitting around, minus 380, minus 450, minus 400. Do not bet. Do not bet. Last thing we need is to have a 3-round decision where Humberto Brown gets on top for 2 rounds and grinds out a decision win. So we do not. I don't want that. So do not bet. Benitez for the decision. The next fight, another betting pick. This fight is very interesting. I'm surprised the price isn't higher, and I have a feeling it's gonna just continue to drop as we get closer to fight time. And that is Jessica Eye versus Leslie Smith. Jessica Evil Eye, evil against the Peacemaker. With Jessica Eye, we have a girl who is just on the feet. I mean, very impressive, very very impressive on the feet. Very fight savvy, good fight IQ. I like the way she moves in the octagon. She's just a natural fighter, a good fighter, confident. And with Leslie Smith, we get a girl who has been surprisingly improving her overall game, and just sneaky in there. Just kind of one of those girls that gets no love, gets no attention, but she's good. With Jessica Eye, in her most recent fight against Alexis Davis, man, that was such a close fight. I could see it going either way. And going through some trouble, some rough times and troubles. I see her bouncing back here, definitely winning the fight, possibly even getting a stoppage. But I think Jessica Eye will get the decision win. Like I said with Leslie Smith, she's okay, but she's nothing that I'd want to bet on. I don't think she's a live dog. And I think Jessica Eye, at worst, will win a 29-28 unanimous decision. Not a split, a unanimous decision. And I like Jessica Eye here. Definitely will be the betting pick. And I'm surprised she's only sitting at around minus 245, minus 250 range, minus 240 range. Even minus 236, the funky little number. But, I definitely like Jessica Eye here. I'm looking forward to watching more of her fights. I'm excited to bet on her. For the next fight, we have. Oh, very, very interesting fight here. So we got the TUF, the Ultimate Fighter, the TUF finale championship here. So we have Alejandro El Diablito Perez versus Jose Alberto El Techo Quinones. So this fight is a mouthful of names here, and it's very interesting because these two guys have fought already. And to make things even more interesting, these guys are like very, very good friends, very good training partners, have a lot of respect for each other, but they're going to fight, and it's very exciting. Alejandro, he's had some reasons, I guess you could say excuses as to why he lost his fight against Quinones. One of the times it was because he needed money, he needed to get paid. He took El Techo lightly. Second time, maybe I'm getting the times mismatched, but one of the other times was because Alejandro's brother had just lost some controversial ref stoppage thing and stoppage BS, and so he was distracted. So a couple of excuses, but if you watch these two guys fight, as I have done, Perez, El Diablito, Alejandro Perez, he does have some very good boxing, sneaky power, and he does have a well-rounded guy. You know, he's got the wrestling game. He has what it takes to be a champion, an Ultimate Fighter finale champion. And El Techo, he's a little bit more. He's a rangier fighter, longer fighter, and smart guy. But in this one, I see them very evenly matched, skill-wise, very evenly matched. Maybe even a little bit more towards El Techo versus Jose Alberto Quinones, a little bit more in his favor as far as just overall fight game, especially with the range, like I said. But I think El Diablito Perez, he wants it more. I really think he's got something to prove, and you can see that fire in his eyes. You can hear it in the interviews. I think he really wants this fight. I think this will end up being 1-2. And I think Perez is going to show up on Saturday night. So I like him to pull off the upset. He's sitting at plus 200, plus 205. So that's a very good line for a fight that I have 50-50 basically. I mean, it's right down the middle. So got to go with Perez here. Have to do it. And I expect him to pull off the upset. For the next fight, we have... I think Perez will get a decision. I mean, he could possibly get a knockout, but I like the decision for Perez. And the betting pick. Next one, the next finale, the featherweight one now. We have Leonardo Chimi, probably the coolest nickname out of these guys. Chimi Morales versus Yair El Pantera Rodriguez. So, Leonardo Morales, what can I say about him? He reminds me of a very early stages Jose Aldo. This guy is a fighter. This guy is the real deal. And I remember when I watched Kelvin Gastelum fight, and as I watched him, I thought, he reminds me of a very early version of Cain Velasquez. So I'm hoping to be on the right path here, on the right track, and I think so. I like Leonardo Morales' kicks. He's got a lot of power, patient, good fight IQ, natural fighter. With Yair Rodriguez, I think he's a little bit shy. I think he's a little bit, I think under pressure, under the lights, I don't think he'll be able to handle it. And I think he'll be overwhelmed by Chimi. With Yair, we got a guy also, who is well-rounded, young guy. So he has more room a higher ceiling, more room to improve. But I think his style of striking is going to feed right into Chimi, right into Morales, and that's what we want. That's what I want on Saturday night. And I'm going to go with the upset here with Leonardo El Chimi Morales. So that is going to be a betting pick. For that one, I think it'll be a decision, perhaps even a 30-27 decision for Morales. Now we get to the main card. Woo-wee! Especially the top three fights. I can't wait for those. These next two, interesting fights. I think they are meant to be entertaining fights for the audience and for the people in the crowd and for all the people watching. So Edgar Garcia versus Hector Urbina, mi tocayo Hector Urbina, el toro, the bull. And with this one, I think Hector, he's getting no respect in this fight. Edgar Garcia has rattled off some wins against some pretty decent guys, but Hector has fought some very good guys himself. I think Hector knows that this is his time here. He's not really going to get another shot. He had that really interesting fight with Cathal on The Ultimate Fighter, and he's fighting at 170 pounds now. He's training at American Top Team. He's got his two brothers there. I believe he's going to show up here. I really do. Edgar Garcia, he's got some good training partners too, but I think Hector is going to show up and pull it off. You can get him as good as plus 175, plus 170 range, and I really like this play. Now, as far as how they match up, pretty evenly skilled guys. Nothing that you're going to get too hyped the hooch up about. But I think El Toro Rubina, I think Hector has more, very similar to what I feel about Perez. He's got more of that fire. He wants it. You can see it in his eyes. You can tell that he's one of these guys that's going to go out there. He's not going to quit. He's going to keep coming. And good things happen for those guys. So I like Rubina here to win by knockout in round 2. And he'll be a betting pick also. For the next one, we have Augusto Dodger Montano versus Chris Stump Heatherly. Now, an interesting little fact about this one. With Heatherly, we get a guy who is a wrestler, and he kind of got he did get a very tough matchup in Ben Saunders in his debut. Ben Saunders, he's a real beast, and he's been improving his game with his. You could tell his jiu-jitsu is just on that 10th planet level, high. I don't know if he's a black belt, but definitely high brown belt level, maybe purple belt, but just at a high level. And Heatherly, you could tell, had no answer for that. With Dodger, it's not going to be as tough of a test as it was with Ben Saunders, but Montano, he has a way of just stringing all his punches together, his attack together, and just what more fighters should do. When Montano got rocked, he came back, and he didn't come back just with one strike, two strikes. He came back in a flurry of punches and kicks and knees, and that's going to overwhelm Chris Heatherly. I think that'll overwhelm him. I don't have a desire to bet Montano, especially at that price he's sitting at right now, minus 225, minus 250, minus 210. That's too steep of a line, but I do expect him to get the knockout. I could see him getting hurt, though, and God knows only what could happen with that, so it's going to be a pass. I will say Montano by knockout round 1. I think he'll get the better of it, but do not bet. I don't like that bet at all. All right, here we go. We got the 3 main fights. Very good fights. Very, very high-quality fights, and I am excited for these fights here. Okay, Dennis Bermudez versus Ricardo Lamas. So as soon as this fight got announced, oh yeah, all day, Dennis Bermudez. Woo-wee, yeah, I'll hype the hooch up for that one. And as I started refreshing my mind and refreshing my thoughts on the way that they fight, I watched a lot of Dennis Bermudez's fights and Lamas as well, and they actually match up pretty well. The line has been going all over the place, but it finally has settled right around where it should be. I was expecting Bermudez and Gastelum to both settle around minus 200. Of course, if I could get it at a better price, that would be great. But ultimately, the lines end up sitting right about where I expect them. So, like Bermudez right now, minus 175, it's a good deal. Minus 180, minus 190. And then Lamas, you can get him as good as plus 170. Plus 168, funky little line there, plus 160. So it's not going to matter if you're not on the right side. And so let's get down to it. So Bermudez just has been rapidly improving, just drastically improving, getting better. And his last fight against Clay Guida, man, excuse me, looked like a real killer. Guida is on the decline, of course, and but he just looked pushing the pace. His striking has never looked better. Just a real, just a real wrecking ball. Just a real fighter here. And Ricardo Lamas, after reaching the height of his career, fighting for the belt, comes back, loses that, comes back, beats Hakran Diaz, and no joke of a fighter. And if this fight was in the United States, I would definitely be betting Bermudez. But Ricardo Lamas has a little bit of extra motivation. He has a little bit of pep in his step because he's going down to Mexico and fighting, and he really wants to put on a show here. He's one of the crowd favorites. So I think he will definitely survive to lose a decision. Maybe possibly even win, but I think Bermudez will win a decision, a 29-28 decision, a clear 29-28. I think Lamas will win one round, but Bermudez is definitely the fighter here. One of the reasons why I can't back Bermudez in this fight, though, is because I have seen him fight not only on the TV but also in person, and he does have some flaws, and all fighters do, but he definitely has some flaws, especially on his defense. Sometimes he gets a bit careless, and sometimes he gets really careless, and he goes in there and with his chin up. And Ricardo Lamas is a seasoned vet. He's been there, done that, so gotta respect that, in my opinion. So for me, the play in this one will be the over. I like the over here, and I think it'll definitely go to a decision, and I see Bermudez winning a decision, though. For the next one, we got Jake Ellenberger versus Kelvin Gastelum. Now, with this fight, we have another guy like Bermudez on the come up, and a guy who I've been watching for a long time now. I've watched pretty much all of his fights, and against Uriah Hall, we made a video. I predicted him in the video. And then, started believing the hype on Uriah Hall, and I ended up finally being on Uriah Hall's side with me looking at it, thinking, man, I should have trusted my own analysis, my own eyes, my own vision, my own what I see. I ended up buying into the hype, and so I'm very familiar with Gastelum, what he has to offer. And the same thing with Jake Ellenberger. I've been watching him since I remember when he first came on the scene. One of the first UFCs I ever attended in real life, in person. It was UFC 108 when Rashad Evans headlined against Thiago Silva, and Jake Ellenberger fought a little jiu-jitsu guy by the name of Dustin Hazlett. So watching these guys for a while since they're come up on the scene, and I think Jake Ellenberger's tired of losing. I think he has been caught snoozing. I think he's been caught taking things lightly, and that's why we've seen the drastic change that we've seen in him. He moved all his stuff over to train in Glendale and to train with Edmund over there, and you can tell he is just right now just focused. It's gonna be very tough to beat him. Very tough to beat this guy, and I like Jake Ellenberger here for the upset. Gastelum has shown me some things in some of his fights that I'm not impressed with, and of course he's shown a lot of good, which is why he's a favorite. But I don't think it's going to be his night. I think he's young enough in his career where he'll continue to get better and improve. But I think Jake's going to get the better of him tonight. So it is tonight. It's already 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I like Jake Ellenberger here for the upset. I think it's going to be a real shock, a real eye-opener. I think Jake will catch him in the first round, and I like Ellenberger for the big upset here. Ellenberger currently sitting at around, let's see, I think he's plus 170. Let me double check here. Yep, plus 170, plus 175. So you can get him plus 170 at a few spots, plus 175 at one spot. So yeah, so Jake Ellenberger for the win here. And main event time. The main event. We got Fabricio Vaya Caballo Werdum versus the Super Samoan Mark Hunt. It was a bit of a wild thought a couple of years ago, a year or so ago, maybe even longer, to think that Mark Hunt would be fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world. But here he is. This guy, he is a real deal. The Super Samoan packs a punch, and God knows what can happen. Like he says, when he connects, man, anybody can go out. Anybody in the world. And it's true. And with Werdum, my God, this guy has really improved. Training 7 years with what's his name? Rafael Cordero, Master Cordero. He has really improved his Muay Thai, really upped his confidence. Just watching his fights, I remember when he fought Overeem. Overeem was minus 340. And I laid the price on Overeem. And I was just counting my blessings every time I saw Werdum throw himself on his back, try to pull guard and tell Overeem to come in, because Werdum was getting the best of Overeem on the feet, but he didn't trust himself. He wasn't confident enough in his hands that he thought, oh, let me jump on, let me try to pull guard, let me see if I can get Overeem down here. He would have won that fight. So every time he threw himself on the ground and he didn't believe in himself, I was like, yes, that's great. Fast forward to his most recent fight against Travis Brown. My God, this guy is just on another level. And he cost me some money against Brown, and he made me a believer. That's one of the ways that fighters will make you believers, when they cost you money. And he really caught my attention then. I said, wow, this guy is not only has a stand-up game now, but he is very smart in the octagon. And with Mark Hunt, we have a guy who's just a fighter. This guy, natural-born fighter, can bring it. Very talented striker, world-class power, and but I think that Werdum is too ready, too prepared for this fight. I don't think he has to change his game plan from what he was going to do to Cain Velasquez. If anything, it'll actually even be, I don't want to say easy, because no fights are easy, but I think it'll be in his favor to the first round. Get a feeling for the distance, for the timing, use his kicks, use his legs to keep Mark Hunt at bay, dance around the octagon. And then round 2 and 3, especially round 3, I think he can really let go of those kicks, let go of that Muay Thai, and really hurt Mark Hunt. If Mark Hunt wants to get busy, I think it'll be towards the later parts of round 2. So I really like the over 1.5 rounds on this fight. I like it because I don't think Werdum's going to go in there for the kill right away, and I don't think Mark Hunt is either. I think they're going to wait for the right decision, and I think that'll be in the later parts, in the 3rd, 4th minute of the 2nd round, possibly even hit the 3rd round. Both these guys are Mark Hunt's chin is just unbelievable, and Werdum is very smart, so I think he'll dance around him very much like he did with Brown. So I like the over here. If I had to say who will win this fight, I will go with Werdum by knockout in round 3. I think you'll catch him with a kick or a knee or something that is unlike what we would expect. For example, most people may expect a submission. I think he'll surprise us with his striking that continues to improve. So I like Werdum here. If Mark Hunt pulls it off, it won't surprise me, but I'll be praying, please let it happen after the first half of the 2nd round is over. So I like the over on that one, over 1.5 rounds. So let's go over the bets. Let's go over my bets here. So MMA DAWGS, UFC 180. Woo-wee. Can't wait for this one. I can't wait. So unfortunately, I did not see any 5 stars. I'm not going to force it if it's not there. Any 5 stars. No 5-star picks. 4 stars, I see a clear 4-star winner here. Jessica I, minus 245. The Evil Eye at minus 245. I like her. 3 stars, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, that might be a record for me. 7 3-star plays. So the first one, they aren't in any particular order. I just have them all in here because ultimately we're going to bet them just about the same. Although I do like the overs a little bit more, just a tiny bit. But over 1.5 rounds, Werdum Hunt fight. So over 1.5 rounds, that's only minus 125. Over 2.5 rounds, over 2.5 rounds, Bermudez and the Lamas fight. So Bermudez versus Lamas fight over 2.5 rounds. That's minus 200. So then I got Jake Ellenberger at plus 170, Hector Urbina at plus 175, Alejandro Perez at plus 205, El Guido Canetti at plus 110, and Leonardo Morales at plus 150. So let's go down to the bets. So here are my bets for Saturday night. 1 unit equals 1% of the bankroll. Now, what I recommend is keeping the ratio the same for these fights. So if I say, for example, one unit, 1.5 units in relation to the other one that the parlay. So you can adjust it according to your budget, but I recommend keeping the ratios the same in the bet. So Jessica I at minus 245 parlayed with the over 1.5 rounds on the Werdum Hunt fight. That's at minus 125. That gives us a parlay price of plus 153. So you'll be right at the 150 range. Plus 153 is what I got it at. So that's 1.50 units to win 2.30. 1.5 units to win 2.30 units. Jessica I minus 245 and the over 2.5 rounds on the Bermudez Lamas fight. That's minus 200. That gives us plus 111. 1.5 units as well to win 1.67 units. So those are the two plays that I have. And then I have a round robin of twos. And there's going to be 5 fighters that I'm going to put in that round robin. So it's going to be a total of 10 parlays at 0.30 units each. So 10 parlays at 0.30 units each, round robin of twos. Then our total bet is 3.00 units. So 3 units to win 17.52 if all of them win. So if you're wondering how to set that up, you could do a simple Google search. Google search round robin parlay calculator. So round robin of twos, that's going to give us 10 parlays at 0.30 units each. Total bet is 3 units to win 17.52 units. So here are the 5 guys. Jake Ellenberger at plus 170. Hector Urbina at plus 175. Alejandro Perez at plus 205. El Guido Canetti at plus 110. And Leonardo El Chimi Morales at plus 150. The early stage of Jose Aldo. So that gives me a grand total of 6 units to win 21.49 units. So if I see it, I gotta call it. And if it's enough for me to wager my own hard-earned money on it, then I am going to share it with my clients. And knock on wood, we will walk away Saturday night with a big old profitable UFC 180. And we'll all be jumping up and down outside like I was when Phil Davis beat Glover down in Brazil. Jumping up and down, hooting and hollering, "Woo, yeah, rah, rah." I would yell, but it's not the time to be yelling right now. But tomorrow, yeah, woo, yeah. So I can't wait for it, man. This is very exciting stuff, and I really, really am looking forward to it. I want to give a big thank you to all of our clients. I would thank you by name, but then there wouldn't be any privacy, so I don't want to do that. But thank you to all of our loyal clients. And if you're a first-time client, we appreciate you just as much. You know, it's one of those things where in this type of business, you know, where you're putting your money up, putting your money where your mouth is. I understand it's a lot of what have you done for me lately. So my goal is to always, always, always bring winners and always put in the go in the extra mile. Extra work, no excuses. You know, sometimes things don't go our way. Sometimes, you know, I see something, it wasn't there. Sometimes I see something I don't always expect to win. So, but that's the goal. The goal is to always win. So always going into it with a winner mentality. And that pretty much sums it up. So I am really looking forward to UFC 180. We have a jam-packed event full of good fights, and I can't wait for it. So I wish you guys all the best. I hope that tomorrow or tonight, I hope that we are all celebrating, hooting and hollering. Yeah, woo, we won. And I hope all my live dogs come through for you guys, and hopefully we match up on some of these. And I'm really looking forward to catching some of these, baby. Let's go. So I hope you guys have yourself a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys real soon. Thank you, and have a good night.